On Food Investigators tonight, salt. If you eat the average Australian diet, you could eat almost 3 times your body weight in salt before you're 70, and it could kill you.
To be quite honest, we're addicted to salt.
My name's Joe Avati. I've got an honours degree in food science, and I'm here as your average Joe. I'm Italian, and I just love my food.
Working in hospital emergency, I see far too many heart attacks, strokes and eye problems, all a direct result of high blood pressure. And one of the major causes of high blood pressure is too much salt. Salt is one of the biggest threats to national health, and yet here in Australia, we eat around 10 times more than we need. Why? I've been investigating. Let's start with our food scientist and average Joe. Like a lot of us, Joe knows about the dangers of salt. And he knows that unless he's very careful, he could eat 3 times his body weight in salt in his lifetime. And most of that will come in the products from his local supermarket. So let's look at 4 of the most popular: white bread, cornflakes, baked beans, and salted chips. Can you pick which are the highest and lowest in salt content?
I'd say these chips.
Chips are number 1?
You'd think so.
I think potato chips taste the most salty.
Trust me on this one. Yeah, this is one.
Baked beans.
Yeah.
The one there.
Alright. What's number 2?
I'd say...
I'd go that.
Close, but nobody was able to pick the highest to lowest in salt content. And here's the awful truth. Baked beans have the most per portion, then the bread, then cornflakes, and the least salty per portion, the chips.
Wow, that's not at all what I expected.
Oh gosh.
Chips. I guess we're just programmed to think that, huh?
You wouldn't necessarily expect there to be a lot of salt in breads and breakfast cereals. And there are a couple of things here. The first is that the levels may be not super high, but we eat a lot of them in our society, so that makes them really important. Or the salt can simply be masked by other things in the food, such as sugars.
Most of the salt in our Australian diet comes from processed foods, about 80%. 5 to 10% occurs naturally, and we add about 10% in cooking and eating.
To be quite honest, we're addicted to salt.
So if we're addicts, how hard is it to kick the salt habit? I've challenged our average Joe to eat no salt for a day. Not that hard, surely. So a salt-free day, huh? You reckon you can do it?
Yeah, easy.
We'll see. Oh dear. Yeah, no.
What?
Here we go.
Ah, well, this is not going to have that much in it because they're sweet, right?
Yeah, right, have a look.
Ooh.
With any product, you work out the salt content by using the sodium figure on a label. For example, 1600 milligrams multiply by 2.5 to give you the salt content, 4 grams. This is the daily recommended intake, about 3/4 of a teaspoon.
That's 600 milligrams.
Which is 1/3 of your daily intake of salt in a sweet biscuit snack. Salt, salt, salt. Ah, ready-made sauce for stir fry. Asian food.
Yeah.
Big fan.
I mean, this has got a bit of salt in it, I
Yeah,
know.
how much?
But, oh, wow, a lot more than I thought.
Yeah, right, that's
A lot
in one
more.
serve. So in 1 jar of this, you're going to have 4 days worth of salt in 1 jar.
Oh, wow, it's a lot more than I expected. So, Renee, what can I actually have for breakfast? You tell me.
Ham has a lot of salt. They need it to preserve the meat, but that's out. Cheese tastes good because of the salt. Once again, no chance in hell.
Okay, so we know that. Now, with my omelette, I like to have baked beans.
Yeah, no. See, a can of these baked beans is
Yeah.
a day's intake of salt. Have a look.
So, Renee, what can I eat for breakfast?
Well, there's this wonderful thing called fruit. Unprocessed, completely natural, no salt added, and no salt in the actual product to start with. Now, what about lunch? After hot chips and hamburgers, pizza is Australia's favourite takeaway lunch food. We buy 190 million takeaway pizzas every year. And seeing our average Joe is Italian,
What do you reckon? How much salt?
Well, you have a go.
Okay. Alright. I'd say that much.
No, a lot more.
Really?
Yeah. Way more.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I can see here there's some salami, pepperoni. That's typically got a lot of salt in it. It looks like there's also some ham. The cheese contains a fair bit of salt. The tomato sauce, you can get low salt tomato sauce, but typically that's got a pretty high salt content. And of course the pizza base. You could, looking at that pizza, have up to twice as much as is recommended for you in a single day.
Twice my daily salt intake. Excellent.
But you might be getting there now, I think, in terms of how much salt's in that pizza.
For Joe, pizza's clearly off the menu.
What happened? Just some pasta without the sauce, with a bit of olive oil, a bit of chilli.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can do that. You probably need to check with them though, because it's all about how they're going to cook the pasta, if they're going to cook it in salt. I think the most important thing when you go to a restaurant or if you're going out somewhere is to say to them, how are you cooking this? Can I have it with no salt?
And most pasta is made with salt.
Can I go and get a salad? That's simple enough.
Yeah, you've just got to make sure that the dressing doesn't have any salt in it then, because a lot of them may use the packaged dressings, and as we found out, anything in a box or anything packaged is pretty much going to have salt in it.
Joe settles for a salt-free salad, and by now, he's feeling the pinch of no salt.
Hey, Dad, how are you? This is Renee.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
We're
Thank
here
you
for
so
a
much.
nice home-cooked meal. Finally, I can eat something.
Yes.
Now the final test, dinner with the family.
It doesn't taste the same. Something's missing.
Oh, yeah. Salt.
Oh, no, don't put any salt in there, otherwise I won't be able to have any.
The one special type of salt that isn't quite as bad for you is something called a salt substitute. What it usually comprises is about 60 or 70% sodium chloride, and then the remainder has been replaced by other things, sodium chloride, magnesium sulfate, or potassium chloride. The effect of those other two parts is to actually lower blood pressure slightly.
No salt substitute for me. I'm going cold turkey, and I'm a mouthful away from a salt-free day.
Speriamo fino alla fine.
A pasta come este.
Buono, bello mangiare. Thank you.
Cheers.
Damn it! The pastas had salt added in processing. If I'd warned Mum, she could have used gluten-free pasta, which is made without salt. But I still managed to eat less than the recommended daily allowance of 4 grams. And I learned a very good lesson. You know, Renee, I didn't realise how much I would actually miss salt and how hard it would actually be to have even just a day without salt.
If you want to reduce your intake of salt, remember, 80% of it comes in processed foods.
What we're advocating to many companies is that what they do is they take out, say, 5% of the salt this year, 5% of the salt the year after, 5% the year after. These small differences we know won't be detected, but they will add up to really meaningful changes.
I asked several major food manufacturers for an interview to find out why it's taking so long for some of them to get the salt out of Australia's diet. All declined. We need our food manufacturers to take action now, and our politicians to encourage them. Meanwhile, the best advice I can give you is to check your labels and make sure you remember the recommended daily allowance, 4 grams.